Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss how to play chess. I'm going to teach you how to play chess from scratch. I'm going to cover this video in total 8 parts and I'm going to tell you one by one everything, and at the end of the video you will know completely how to play chess, the opening, middle game, end game, how do pieces move, how to set up a chessboard, how to evaluate a position and everything. So it's going to be extremely critical video for everyone who ever wants to learn chess. So I don't want to waste any further time, so let's quickly jump into the video. So coming to the part number 1, how to set up a chessboard. So first thing first, a chessboard consists of 64 squares, 8 squares horizontal and 8 squares vertical, and the horizontal lines are considered as ranks and the vertical lines are considered as files. You can see over here 1, 2, 3 and A, B, C, D and so on. And if there are no notation written on the board, you can already set up a chessboard by knowing that the bottom right square should be always a white square. From that moment onwards, you should start arranging the chessboard. And the corner squares are the squares where the rooks are placed, and beside the rook there are knights. Beside the knights, there are bishops, and here we have the main pieces, the king and the queen. The simple way to remember where the queen and the king are placed is very simple. If you are playing with the white pieces, you are having a white queen, so the white queen goes to the white square. And if you are playing with the black pieces, you are having a black queen, so the black queen goes to the black square. Okay, so that is one way to remember how to set up a chessboard. And the positioning of the pawns are extremely simple. The light square pawns come to the second rank and the black square pawn comes to the 7th rank simultaneously. So this is how you set up a chessboard. So now coming on to the part number 2, how the pieces move. So here we have a crazy position on the board. So first thing first, I want to start by explaining the power of the pieces. A pawn consists of 1 point. A knight consists of 3 points, a bishop also consists of 3 points, a rook consists of 5 points, and a queen consists of 9 points. And you can just leave the king because it has no value. So the power of the pieces are given to denote how powerful a piece is. So now we are going to discuss how the pieces move. So starting with the pawn, a pawn moves 1 step ahead. But when it is at the starting position, we are having the option to push the pawn 1 square or either 2 square. You can also push the pawn, for example, 2 squares. But you are only having that ability once the pawn is at the starting rank. If you have pushed the pawn already, then you cannot push the pawn 2 steps forward in the future. So that is how a pawn moves. A pawn always captures diagonally 1 step. For example, black pushes the pawn to g6. Here white can simply capture the pawn via h into g6. If the pawn would have been on f7, it can't really capture it. The pawn can only capture it 1 step diagonally. And now coming to the special rule which many people don't know. Whenever, for example, if black plays the move g5, and the opponent's pawn is the sideways of the pawn, we can actually end pass. This phenomena is known as end passant. You can actually capture the pawn. This can only happen when you are playing with the white pieces and your pawn is on the 5th rank and your opponent pushes the pawn 2 steps. Then only you are having the power to capture the pawn like this. If you move your another piece, then in the future you can't really capture this pawn. If you want to capture this pawn, you are having this ability at that moment instant. So this is the special rule. I know it's a bit difficult to understand, but this is the only special rule you need to know before start playing chess. So this is how you should move a pawn. And a final rule, if a pawn reaches to the last rank, a last square of the board, we are having the power to convert this piece into any of the piece like the queen, the knight, the rook or the bishop. So you can make anything except king. So this is how a pawn moves. So now let's try to discuss how a bishop moves. A bishop move diagonally, it is extremely simple. Like on the light square, if the bishop is off the dark square, it moves on the dark square. So this is how a bishop moves. So now coming to the knight, a knight moves in a L shape. You can denote it as 1, 2, and half. Like 1, 2, and half. 1, 2, and a half. Like this. This is one way to remember it. Like you can move it like this. And now, like if black plays something, you can move the knight like 1, 2, and half, 1, 2, and half, 1, 2, and half, 1, 2, and half. So like this. This is how a knight moves. So now coming to how a rook moves. A rook moves horizontally and vertically. And it doesn't matter how many squares are there, the rook can cover entire board. So that's how a rook move, extremely simple. And not talking about the queen. Queen is basically the combination of a rook and the bishop. It can move horizontally, vertically, even diagonally. This is how a queen moves. So yeah, so it's extremely simple to now calculate how each piece move. So now finally coming on to the king. A king can move anywhere the king wants, but the king can only move anywhere only one step. That is how a king moves. Now coming on to the special rule of the king. This rule is also known as castling, and it is done to safeguard your king, which is very necessary to do so in the game of chess. What happens here is, it is done between the king and the rook when there are no pieces in between. What you do here is, you put the king 2 steps like this, and the rook comes sideways of the king like this. So this is how a castling is done. And it is done to safeguard your king, that's what I said. Just remember, the king goes 2 steps like this, and the rook goes sideways of the king. So that is how you do a short castle. So yeah, this is how the pieces move. So now let's move on to the chapter number 3. So now coming on to the chapter number 3, defend, attack, and the vision. So what do I mean by this? So we are going to discuss how to how to calculate everything, how to do complete vision of the chessboard. So basically, you are having a random position on the board. It's white to play. So how can you evaluate position? So you must calculate with the help of the points of the pieces. For example, a bishop is having 3 points. A knight is also having 3 points. So can I capture the knight? Yes, I can. Because if I capture the knight, the opponent will also capture the bishop. So the knight and the bishop is having 3 points. So material-wise, the position is the same. And after this position, you will realize the bishop is currently, is currently hitting the rook. So what happens if the bishop captures the rook? We will lose 5 points, and then we will capture the bishop, so we will gain 3 points. So eventually, with the help of addition and subtraction, we can already identify that we would be 2 points down. So definitely, this kind of trade is definitely unfair for us. So we can perhaps play the move rook to e1. And the idea here is, we are hitting the queen, because the queen is having 9 points and our rook is having 5 points. So can the queen capture the rook? No, because the queen is having 9 points. So let's go back a bit. I want to ask the question to you guys. Can the queen capture the pawn? The answer is no, because the pawn is having 1 point and the queen is having 9 points. So if the queen will capture the pawn, the rook will simply capture the queen like this. So you will be simply 8 points down, which is a bad idea. So for example, you have this equal trade. You move the rook, the queen move, and now you simply push the pawn to f4. And here black plays the move bishop to b5, hitting a queen. So what can you do? Can you capture the bishop? Yes, the answer is yes. You can simply capture the bishop. The reason is, there is no piece defending the bishop. So you can happily capture the bishop. There are many players who simply run away like this, like the queen is hanging, so let's move the queen. But just realize and wait, is the piece defended? No. So can you capture the piece? Extremely yes. So this is how you do the thing. So coming back, so this is what happens of this attack, defend, and vision, you must have a clear vision of the complete chessboard, and you must now calculate. Like, you are having this position. A strong chess player will think of this position as, I can capture the knight, it is of 3 points. Our opponent will capture the bishop, so it is equal trade. And now, after having the trade, I'm having this powerful move, queen to c4, check. I know many of the people are confused now, and I can even capture the bishop. So this leads to the fourth chapter of our how to play chess. So now let's move on to the fourth chapter. Coming to the fourth chapter, check, checkmate, and stalemate. Here we are going to discuss what do I mean by check, checkmate, and stalemate. For example, if I play the move queen to e5, it's a check. The king is basically attacked. So you must move the king. The king cannot be captured in the game of chess. You must move the king. That's it. So this is what a check is. Basically, it is a check. It is basically attack to the king, but the king can move. Coming to the checkmate. A checkmate is basically like queen to f8 and it's checkmate. What happens basically? The king is attacked, but the king can actually move anyway. The answer is no. The king is having no escape route. So it is basically checkmate and the game is over. Now let's talk about the stalemate. We have a position like this. And here white simply played the move queen to f7. And just try to realize the position. The queen is covering these squares. It's black to play. Black is not having even a single square to go. So this position is a draw. The reason is the queen is not attacking the king and it's black to play. The black is having no escape route to go away. So black is having no legal moves to make. So eventually this position is a draw. Now many of the players would be thinking, I'm simply a queen up, how can this position be a draw? But the reason is, your opponent can't really move anything and the king is not really attacked. So it's a draw, it's a stalemate. So these are the three critical rules in the game of chess that you must remember. So now let's move on to the fifth chapter. So now coming on to the fifth chapter, the openings. There are three stages in the game of chess: opening, middle game, and the end game. Coming to the opening part, we are having a clear chessboard. So what do I mean by opening? So I can simply break down the opening into three parts, which is, if you remember these 3 points, you are always going to, the opening part is actually completed. That's it. So coming to the first point, control the center. There are 4 critical squares in the board of chess. These 4 squares are the center squares in the board of chess. You must always try to cover these squares. Second, develop your pieces. Try to develop your pieces as soon as possible. To develop a piece, it only takes one move. For example, if you want to develop your knight, you can simply develop with knight to f3 and your knight is developed. Coming to the third point, castle as soon as possible. As I said, castle is done to protect your king. So if you try to do castle as soon as possible to safeguard your king. That's it. If you follow these 3 steps, you're always going to have a good position out of the opening. So let's try to discuss. There are 2 moves that are most popular in the world of chess: e4 and d4. You play the move 1e4, try to taking control of the 2 center squares by e4 and trying also to control the square of d5 because the pawn captures diagonally. And here, for example, if I make a random moves like knight s6, knight b8 and just like this, what should be the idea of what? As I said, you must always try to control the center. We would simply push the second pawn and now we are having the center in our full control. Now we simply develop the knight. So here, after taking control of the center, the most important thing is to develop your knight, because developing your knight is much easier than your bishop, because developing your knight to f3 and c3 is the most natural move in the game of chess. But if I talk about the bishop is having many options. Like the bishop can go to e2, the bishop can go to d3, even c4. So there are many good squares for the bishop. That is the reason we simply delay the timing of development of our bishop. After knight c3, for example, if knight b8, we develop our bishop, and here we develop our second bishop. So you can see how we took control of the center, then developed our pieces, and finally we are going to castle. So after here, there are many people confused even at the club level, like how to continue the game from now. Now what you do, you develop the queen, and now you get your rooks into the game. One rook to the d1, one rook to the e1, and finally you can say that your development have been completed, and now you are full on to the middle game. From here onwards, the opening ends, and now the middle game begins. So now, this is what happens if you're playing a noob who doesn't know how to play chess. If we are going to discuss how to play chess against a proper chess player who is after e4 going to play the move e5, also trying to control the center. We play the move knight to f3. Our opponent plays knight c6 in order to defend the pawn on e5, because after knight f3 we were hitting the pawn. Here there are many moves for white. We can even play bishop c4 or bishop b5. The idea here is we are developing the piece, and also we are preparing to castle as soon as possible. And we are also trying to take control of the center. Black tries to develop the knight, hitting the pawn on e4. So what we do, we simply push the pawn to d3, defending the pawn and also trying to open up our bishop. Bishop develops, we castle as soon as possible. Black castle, and now we simply develop our bishop. So now, what should we do in this position? The only piece that is left to develop is the knight, so we develop our knight. And now finally, you can say that the normal idea here is to move the queen and get the rooks into the game, or to find some good ideas and try to continue on the game. So this is where the opening ends. So now the middle game begins. So now let's go on to the 6th chapter, the middle game. So coming on to the 6th chapter, the middle game, there are two methods of playing a middle game: strategy and tactics. What do I mean by it? For example, it's white to play, and I want to capture the knight. So I'm trying to make a strategy. What is the strategy? I want to bring my king and try to capture the knight. That is my strategy, my idea, my plan. I'm not talking about the tactics. What is tactics? So basically, a tactics is, for example, I play the move queen to h4, check. It's a check. The king has to move, and simultaneously, I'm also attacking the knight. So basically, if the king moves, I can simply capture the knight. So basically, after giving a check, I can simply get a 3 points advantage, which is completely winning for me. Another thing could be like queen to e5 check. It's again a check, and I'm going to win a piece on d4 guaranteed. The king have to move, and I'm going to give him the piece. It is also known as tactics. With the help of tactics, you try to gain a material advantage on the board of chess. For example, you can play the move queen to c3. And what is happening? I have pinned up the knight. This phenomena is known as pin. And what is happening? The knight can't really move, because if the knight will move, the king is being attacked. So the knight can't really move. You have to move the king, and I can simply capture the knight. And I'm going to win a piece. So this is what a tactic means. So the middle game consists of two things, two methods: strategy and tactics. You can improve your middle game by by solving some serious chess puzzle, and you can improve your strategy by looking at some good classical games like Magnus Carlsen games and any games of the professional top players. So this is how you play the middle game. So now let's move on to the end game, the chapter number 7. So coming on to this end game is the third stage in the game of chess, where there are fewer pieces compared to the opening middle game. And yeah, so as you can see in this position, there are only 2 pieces left, except kings. And now it is an end game. So how to play an end game? Basically, there are many factors of playing the end game. And end game is considered one of the hardest things to do. So what I'm going to teach you how to checkmate, because in the end game you are going to be a piece up if you are playing a good chess. So I'm going to tell you how to checkmate. So basically, for example, you are having two rooks and you want to checkmate a single king. How do you do it? You simply make a staircase. And now what is the staircase? For example, I play the move rook h4. I simply cut off this particular rank, so the king can move only through this particular square. And now the king move, I simply give a check. So I've taken another file, another rank, so the king have to go here. I can't play rook h6 check because king will simply capture it. So I play the move rook to b4, swinging the rook. And now the idea is to simply give a check like this. I take control of this. And finally I give a check. And now it's a mate. This mate is also known as the staircase mate. And this was the endgame number 1. So now let's move on to the endgame number 2. So now coming on to the endgame number 2. You are having a queen. You are simply a queen up. Do you know how to mate with a single queen? Many people don't know. How do you mate with a queen basically? You must imagine your queen as a knight and you must give a check to the king. You must have the distance of the queen and the king as a knight. For example, if the queen, at the place of the queen, if it would have been a knight, it is a check. So yeah, so basically there should be the distance of a knight between the king and the queen. The king move, you put the queen over here, distance of the knight. King move here, where do you move the queen? You move the queen over here, distance of a knight. Again like this, like this, like this. And here many people play the move queen to c7. But realize guys, it's a stalemate because black is not having any legal move to make. So basically, the first thing you must do here is push the king to the corner file or the corner rank or the file. And finally, try to bring your king. After bringing your king, you can finally mate your opponent with the help of this. If you are having a single queen, you must have your king and the queen to checkmate a lone king. This is how you mate your opponent. So this was the endgame number 2. So this is how you play the endgame. So now let's move to the chapter number 8, the study plan. So coming to the chapter number 8, the study plan, here I'm going to tell you how can you really improve your chess game. So first things first, you can read some good chess books. In a chess book, you can solve 1 move mate, 2 move mate, 3 move mate to improve your endgame skill. There are books on openings, middle games. There are so many books in the market nowadays, in Chess Base India, in any shop, in any book of chess, in any store of chess. Like you can download PDF through online. There are many ways to improve your chess. Second way, chess puzzle. To improve your middle game, you must solve chess puzzle. To improve your tactics, you must solve chess puzzle. You can do puzzle rush, like puzzle rush survival on chess.com. It is one of the best way to do so. You are having puzzles on Lichess and many things. Third, playing chess online. There are many platforms nowadays to play chess online. You can play chess via chess.com, Lichess. Many sources are there to play chess online. I won't recommend you to play chess like with the machines or the engine, but try to play chess against the humans because humans are the best way to practice. So yeah, these are the 3 ways you can try to improve your chess. And definitely there are YouTube chess channel nowadays to improve your chess, like this channel, OneShot Chess. But some good channels, if I must recommend you, one is Gotham Chess, second is Chess Base India, and if you really want to see some good chess games, Agan Medor is the one who uploads serious chess games analysis, which can really help you to get an idea of the chess game, how good player play chess, like in the best of the world. So these were the 8 chapters which helps you to improve your chess game, how to play chess, how the pieces move, what are the power of the pieces, opening, middle game, end game, and stuff like that. So I hope that this video might have helped you to improve your game, to know what is chess. If it did, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, whoever wants to learn chess. And if you are new to our channel, then make sure to subscribe to our channel because we are going to come up with these videos like this. It is a great way to learn chess if you are going to subscribe to our channel, because we always come up with these interesting videos to help you to improve your chess. So I'm going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching OneShot Chess.